And with that being said,
I'm really thankful I got that chance to go play at K-State.
With that being said,
thank you all.
And with that being said,
I am. Hey.
With that being said.
Hey guys, welcome to our 5 as 1 podcast. And with that being said, this is a big time episode that we've got going on this week. First off, we've got the co-host with the most, Jerald Foster, back in the house.
I'm back, baby. Golly, how many have you done without me? I feel so out of the loop these days.
I don't know, man. The shows have just been, hanging on by a thread, but now we've got the main event back in the house.
If I'm the main event, then we got our WrestleMania of it all. We're bringing in one of the young bucks. You keep going. I'll sit back and I'll let you keep introducing. I know you got more to say than I would.
No, man, this is a big time show. Not only we have Jerald Foster back in, we have national champion, Joe Moore Award winner, Michigan Wolverine, Connor Jones in the house, man. Offensive lineman from right here in Colorado Springs, the pride of Palmer Ridge High School. Connor Jones, welcome to the episode, man.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's an honor to come on the podcast. I don't know if I can be called the pride of Palmer Ridge, though.
The pride. God bless. We're so lucky today. This is great.
Hey, this is an awesome show because we might as well be on like the Big Ten Network because we've got Michigan represented, the national champions. We've got the Nebraska Cornhuskers represented by Coach Jerald Foster. And now I've got to get used to saying the Big Ten and USC Trojans working their way over to play Michigan in the Big House this year. We're going to have a little Big Ten smack talk going down in this episode also.
Let's do it.
Hey,
I love.
Go ahead, Jerald.
Well, I just love that trash talk for my team right now. I don't know if I really should be saying anything. I know we pulled out somehow Dylan Raiola. Thank God that we were able to get us a 5-star quarterback. Looks like he's going to be the future in Nebraska. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping if he has half the talent his dad had for us, we're going to be doing pretty good. But SC, you guys had a crazy year. Looked like you were going to be making your way to the playoffs. A couple things happened, and you fell a little bit short. But the Michigan Wolverines, goodness gracious, of all the teams, not only were you guys able to take the ship at the end, you guys were unanimous. You didn't lose. What does that even feel like to have a season where you're not only able to say, yeah, we won the national championship, but every team that we faced, we were able to take out. There was no ifs and buts about it for who was the best team in the nation. How'd that feel?
I mean, it's honestly just surreal. Everybody after, we won the championship. I mean, for weeks, everyone that was close to me and my family and my friend circle, they're just asking me, how does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? And every time I couldn't even put words to it. I mean, I was on the field. I was putting the shirt on over my pads. I was putting that little hat on my head. It never fits. But
and man, you get the championship hats. It's like the photo op, and then you never wear it again. It's like that thing's going on the mantle. It ain't like you're going to wear a national championship hat and rock it around town or anything like that.
No, that's definitely a prized possession. It's going to be hung up somewhere. But even then, I mean, you don't even know what emotion to feel when you're in that. I wasn't a starter on the team. I wasn't much of a contributor, but, I did contribute in a sense of, my job on scout team was to get the defense ready. And I mean, we had probably the best scout team-o that, it was said it was the best scout team-o that they've probably seen in a very, very long time. And, promising for the future of the Michigan Wolverines. But, no, it was just a blessing to be a part of that journey. And to say that we beat 15 teams outright and straight up, it's not said a lot in college football. Our coaches hit on it a lot during this past season. You know, we need to cherish every win that we get and learn the lessons that we need to learn throughout each and every game, because getting a win it gets harder and harder as you progress throughout the season, especially getting into that playoff run.
I mean, I'm looking at your shirt right now. He's got the Rose Bowl on. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, I was like, he's got the Rose Bowl on. You were the last game that Saban played. The last game he played was against Michigan. I'm not wrong about this, right? The last game he played was what?
Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Yep. I was going to say you had me a little nervous for a second.
Oh, yeah. That was only like the semifinals. It's like, okay, yeah, no big deal. You know,
yeah, right. He's like, I had a lot.
No big deal. Rose Bowl. That was a good warm up game for the Natty.
Pulling it here and going through not knowing how to feel like that. Even putting that into perspective is nuts. I mean, that game in general, being there, was electric. The best football game I've not only been a part of, but been able to watch too.
The granddaddy of them all, Pasadena. You're a Rose Bowl champ. I was fortunate enough to play in the Rose Bowl 1996. We played Northwestern, and that was kind of their Cinderella season. All of Pasadena was purple. They came in. There's no feeling like New Year's Day to be able to look up, and it's right around that end of the third, early fourth quarter when the sun sets right over the mountains, and it kind of has that orange-purple sunset, and you look around, you're like, man, I'm playing in the granddaddy of them all. And what was that feeling like, playing in the Rose Bowl, playing in the granddaddy of them all?
I mean, you could ask any one of my guys. It was awesome. It was the best experience that I think any of us have had. And, you know, down to the activities that we did while we were down there, to, you know, even going to practice at the facility that we were at every day, even the hotel. I mean, I had to walk like a half mile just to get from the elevators to the meeting rooms, and it was just crystal balls and giant chandeliers, and no, it was awesome, and it was, I'm probably gonna say this word a lot, but just surreal.
Don't worry, you had a season that was surreal. Like, every moment that you had out there, all of the chances, all of the things that I know for myself, you know, being in Pasadena was probably one of the places that I really wanted to go to. That would have been, you know, to cap off my college career. So being able to say that you got to go there, that's one of the coolest things. And I really hope that you, after, it's going to take a couple years, but after that time, you're able to sit back and be like, damn, I really did all this. Like, I was able to be the last game Saban did, you know, with the tenure he had at Alabama. I was able to have a team that went undefeated. I was with our coach in his championship run, and then now he's going to the league. Like, all these things, it's going to be crazy, you know. And then your coach, I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself, but
no, there's some big news coming out of Ann Arbor right now.
I was going to say,
there are some things now. By the time this thing airs, Connor, what is going on? Like, we've talked about the Rose Bowl, the great season you've had. Now you go from the emotions of winning it all, having a national championship. Coach Harbaugh leaves, goes to the Chargers. He loved LA so much. He wants to go back. He loved the Rose Bowl, so he wants to hang out back there. Now you deal with the emotions of losing your coach. What's going to go on? I mean, everything that's going on, like, what can you say about what's happened in Ann Arbor the last, you know, week to 10 days with Coach Harbaugh? Who knows where he's going to go? He ends up leaving. What's the situation with your coaching staff and Coach Moore now? Like, what's going on right now? You've got incredible insight to college football right now.
I mean, you know, we got back. We had a couple days off, and then we had our celebration. That was actually a blast, and it was kind of interesting to be a part of because, you know, growing up, I always would see things like that happen on TV, but I never saw, like, you know, what happened in the background, what happened with any of that stuff. And now that I was able to be a part of that. That was awesome. And then after that, we had our parade in Ann Arbor. That was electric. There was so many people. I've never seen that many people inside of State Street. I mean,
you guys were on top of the double-decker buses, the whole deal. Like that's awesome to be able to be in championship parades, man.
We had like 60 brand new F-150s trucking us around. We had a giant 50-foot long bed truck that had the rest of us. We had a fire truck hosting, our captains and our coaches, and it was just pretty awesome. And then, I feel like we all had a feeling that it was the end of a chapter. I think that's the best way to put it. We all had a feeling that Coach Harbaugh was going to look at his options. He was very outright last year when he started looking for a head coaching job in the NFL. It was last year around this time, actually, when he got interviewed by the Vikings. And, he came and he brought us into a team meeting. He was just straight up with us. He has goals that he still has for his career. And, he has a national championship, and now he wants to go grab that Super Bowl. And, last year there was too many unfinished things that happened. And now with that, basically the perfect season closing out, national championship win, we have the trophy sitting in our weight room right now. It's just a perfect end to an era and an end to a chapter, and a great transition to get into, Coach, and this is the big news, Coach Moore stepping up and being our new head coach. And it's awesome to be a part of, because I entered into an era of Michigan football that was underneath the legend, Coach Jim Harbaugh. And now, we get to let Coach Moore, brand new head coach, been coaching O-line and offensive coordinator, and before that, tight ends, now step into that role and have a great outline, and, be able to also keep this amazing staff together that we have. With us hiring internally, we might lose a couple here and there. But being able to keep our core staff together, I think, is just going to keep the success going in Ann Arbor and keep that magical plan that we have in the background going.
It's pretty cool to see offensive line coaches becoming head coaches.
It's not seen a lot either.
No, I mean, he's obviously a special leader and has the pulse of the team. I mean, you think about an offensive line coach, you're coaching almost half of the offense out there. And to be able to have that much influence, being a play caller, it's pretty rare to have offensive line coaches as play callers, as offense coordinators also, and now taking that role on as the new head coach at Michigan is an incredible accomplishment. And I can feel from your excitement that the team's pretty pumped up about having Coach Moore named the head coach.
Absolutely. Not only do we get to be a part of just history in general with everything that we've gone through within the past year, but now, like I was saying, we get to start a new era. And, all of us, we love Coach Moore. He's such a great coach. He's so much passion and love for the team. And I mean, he's just real, we know the guy who's stepping into that role, and it's just a perfect outcome to us, a perfect situation.
Yeah, man, there's got to be a lot of excitement. You're obviously bummed you're losing Coach Harbaugh, but the way that he was upfront and real with you guys to say, hey, I want to go get a Super Bowl ring. I've won a national championship here. I want to go chase a Super Bowl, and no better opportunity for Coach Moore to take the torch and run with it now and have that great opportunity. I mean, you guys are Joe Moore Award winning, the top offensive line recognized at Michigan there over the last couple years. You played against this year's Joe Moore Award winning offensive line at Washington, and you guys pretty much put a pounding on them. Great staff. Coach DeBoer is going to do great things at Alabama. I mean, think about college football, how much it's changed over the last month to say Coach Harbaugh is now with the Chargers. Coach DeBoer leaves and goes to Alabama, all the changes within what's going on. I mean, even just the 4 semifinalist teams, it's amazing with Coach Saban stepping down, Coach Moore getting the job, Coach DeBoer moving. I mean, it is insane to see how much movement and volatility is in college football right now. Very different than when Jerald and I played.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to compare it to with Tom Brady officially retiring. You know, that's a whole line and a whole generation of quarterbacks that are now legends in the NFL. That, you know, they're giving it up to these younger guys who are coming in now. And it's when you look at football and you look at the history of football, you'll notice that there are a lot of coincidences that happen across all different levels. You have these legends within the NFL at quarterback. They step down, they retire. These new guys are stepping up, create a whole new generation of quarterbacks. So you have these legends and these legendary coaches that have been coaching in college football for such a long time. They're now retiring and stepping down or going on to different things. You know, you have these younger guys coming in, stepping in and creating this whole new generation of college football coaches. And it's just, you have that, you have the new conference realignments, you have the new playoff system. It's going to be a whole different year of college football. It's going to feel that way. And I feel like it's going to be for the best. It's going to be the most entertaining, and it's going to be best for us, the players, as well.
You're really making me realize, he's making me realize how much this next year is going to be. I mean, I had thought of it, you know, a little bit. I was like, yeah, okay, this is happening. But when you sit down and really look at it that way, that the legends of the coaching, of all the coaches, what is it? 3 of the 4 schools that were in the playoff this year are going to have a new coach. We're going to change it from 4 to a 12-man or to a 12-team playoff. We got the Big Ten. What is it? We're at 16 now teams. We had the SEC at 14, I think, like that. Big 12's back to 12. And the Pac-12 is still alive somehow with 2 teams. Yeah, but they have 2 teams. Like, what's going on with that? Like, you know, there's so much going on right now. This is going to make the next year exciting. One thing I did want to say while you were talking, which I thought was, I think it speaks volumes to Jim Harbaugh on his personality. For him to be able to tell you not only this year, but last year, hey, I'm actually looking to make my way back to the NFL. A lot of coaches wouldn't have done that. A lot of coaches would have lied to you guys and been like, don't worry, I'm still here, until he signs the paper. And then he goes, oh, I'm so sorry that you guys found out on ESPN on the ticker, before he would have been the guy like, hey, let me let you know what my mindset is and where I'm planning to be in my own career. That is something I'd hope a lot of other coaches see, that you can actually be open to your team and treat these guys not like they're not like they're chess pieces, but more like they're your teammates, they're your kids, and you're really just trying to let them have a chance to be the best that they can possibly be.
Absolutely, and that's just his coaching style. I mean, you know, he's going to take it right into the Chargers. He's going to do the same thing. You know, when he was talking to us and when he would meet us, especially when, you know, it was coming down to decide what certain players were going to do as far as how their eligibility is looking, how they're looking as far as on the depth chart, and combining all these different points together to help a player make a decision about whether or not they're going to stay, move on, be done with football entirely. You know, he came at it from a perspective of a dad, not as a coach, and it was very unselfish in the way that he would do that. And I mean, you know, as far as him meeting with us, I feel like he could have done that. And I feel like the reason why a lot of other coaches can't do that is because of the staff that they have. And, you know, I'm not trying to throw shade out there, but at the same time, our staff is just so good. We have a staff full of head coaches. And I mean, that's a direct quote from Coach Harbaugh himself earlier. I think he put that out during team camp. You know, we have a staff that are full of guys who are going to be head coaches at some point. And so being able to have these different leaders on the team and on the staff, it really helps so that, you know, he can be open and honest with us as far as that goes. And there's no real distraction there because the different leaders that are on the team and that are in our staff, and they can still take over, and it's still independent, but also works as one.
That's awesome to talk about, like the relationships that you have with the coaches. Let's backtrack to why you chose Michigan and your recruiting process. Like, you are a highly sought after offensive lineman, coming out of Colorado. Colorado's known for offensive linemen. I mean, there's a lot of big men that come out of this state, which is really cool. Jerald and I get to train them with our 5-as-1 training, helping guys transition to the next level. Take us through kind of the reason you chose Michigan, how you ended up there. Obviously, you feel great about your decision and the trajectory that you're on. I mean, you're right now in the thick of it, looking to compete, get in the mix. You played last year as a true freshman, if I'm not mistaken. They gave you some action as a young buck, and you were able to utilize your red shirt, but also get a lot of game experience. So I know that's a lot to talk about, but I guess focus on the recruiting part of it, your journey, how you ended up there, and just your process.
Right before you go, hold on. Right before you go, I would like to talk about one of our sponsors, Fix Sports Performance. They are located in Monument, Colorado. This is where we do a lot of our work with our guys. I thought I'd be able to throw this in before you start talking, since you're one of the guys that went through Fix. If you're trying to elevate yourself to be a better athlete, to be able to have facilities and a space with great coaching staff and great people, go to Fix Sports in Monument. You're up, brother.
That was great. Yeah, so kind of just taking you through, giving a little bit of a backstory. I started playing football when I was in second grade. So actually, I was talking about this with one of the guys today. So I was born in 2003, but with how Colorado works and where my birthday is at, I missed the cutoff for kindergarten. And so I technically should be a senior in college right now, because that's where all the other kids who are my age are. But because I missed that cutoff, I had to wait a whole another year to get into kindergarten. And so I made that connection today. I thought that was a pretty cool fact. But no, so I started playing football in second grade.
What position? Second grade, or what did you know you were 3-point stance the rest of your life, or were you living those tight end dreams?
I was a tight end and defensive end, actually. I was number 12. We were number 12. Those are the good old days. Started out with a little bit of like Parks and Rec here and there. Then the next year, when I was in third grade, no, it was actually fourth grade, sorry. So third grade, I stayed with the same team that I played with on second grade. Fourth grade, I joined this team, and we were we were smacking everyone. We were out of every game by halftime just because of the mercy rule alone. And then we decided, so my dad, all the coaches there, they decided to take this team from Park and Rec, and we jumped into Pop Warner. We played for the Colorado Springs War Dogs. We played, what was it, 2 seasons, 3 seasons? 2 seasons with the War Dogs. We did some pretty awesome things. Our first year, we ended up being 5th in the nation. Second year, I don't think we even made it to Texas, but it's all right. But built some pretty strong relationships, some pretty strong bonds there. And then it was interesting because this was a pretty big learning moment in my life when I had to go and play middle school ball. Everyone who lives in Colorado knows that middle school ball ain't really all that. And that's not to hate on the middle schools around there. It's not a very important thing when it comes to things to do in Colorado, like it is in a Texas environment or a Florida environment or even a California environment. And so going into there, you know, I was way more experienced than everyone else at playing football. I have been playing for a lot longer. Most of the, like 99% of my team, that was the first season they've ever played football. And so I had to really start stepping into a leadership role. And that's where I, you know, started breaking down and working on those leadership skills and, you know, techniques that I have now. But it was difficult because it was a 5-week season. It's the shortest season I've ever been a part of. I had to learn the relationship between the player and coach when it comes to the coach not being as knowledgeable about the game than you. So you have a weird little dynamic there where, I mean, you know, your player knows more about the game of football than you do as a coach. And I had to, you know, make sure I wasn't stepping on any toes of being disrespectful, but also making sure that my team was in positions to win games too. Which really helped me out going into high school, because in high school, I was a part of a really great staff at Palmer Edge. Yes, I was a Colorado Springs kid. I hadn't, honestly, until it was my friend Anthony Costanzo. He's the one who jumped to Palmer Edge. Me and Caden Dudley were going to go to Vista Ridge. And there was just a couple of things that happened between then that, you know, I decided, and me and Caden decided to go up to Palmer Edge instead and join Anthony. But yeah, I had no clue that the town of Monument even existed in Colorado until then. And then obviously made the decision, went to Palmer Ridge. Freshman year, I played C squad. Sophomore year, thrown into a starting position. Felt like I did pretty good, but still pretty young. And then he was pretty adamant about that part. You know, making sure I'm posting workouts, making sure I'm posting videos of me doing footwork and football drills, making sure I'm posting my film every week from the season. And, you know, tagging coaches on Twitter, tagging these different people, aiming for the in-state schools. And once I have those, aiming for the out-of-state schools, aiming for the dream schools, having no expectations on it, and having all of your dreams and motivation into one bubble and just throwing it out there. And that is what really kickstarted it. My first offer off the bat was Colorado State. That was actually my sophomore year. I went up for an unofficial game day. That's when Coach Bobo was still coaching there. That doesn't tell you that was a long time ago.
Right.
And he pulled me into his office and he offered me right before they played. And then after that followed New Mexico State. And then I had held a offer from Michigan for a while, but it was made official on September 1st of my junior year. That was number 3. And then after that, they just kind of came in. I had 8 offers total, with my top 3 being Michigan, Northwestern, and Oregon State. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my story. And then why I chose Michigan. So Michigan has been my dream school since I was very young. My dad and I grew up Michigan fans, and if I had the opportunity, I really wanted to go to Michigan to play football. And so as soon as the opportunity came to me, I seized it. Yeah, it's pretty much that story.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you started early, obviously started playing. You had great guidance from your family, from your dad. You took the bull by the horns and you didn't just wait. You were proactive with your recruitment. And I think that's a big thing where, the days of coaches just finding players, that's past. You have to be your own best advocate. You have to be able to get out there and utilize resources. And that's what we try to do with our 5 as 1 training, with not only giving kids technical skills to be able to go out and perform and play well, but also with contacts and helping, and you utilize that. You were out there proactive with the training, going out, being aggressive, going to camps, going to games, getting yourself out there, creating a social media presence and creating something that it's really out there, and being aggressive to go reach out to coaches. What advice would you have for kids if you could go back and tell yourself to do different, or something that you say, hey, do this. This is the best way to help use football to better your life?
Honestly, I would say prioritize your body and your health. Utilize your resources, whether that's social media or if you have a college down the road, especially one that puts on camps. Just any resource you can get your hands on, just make sure you utilize it, especially in your recruitment. There's a lot of states out there where, the recruitment buzz is simply just not there. And you have states out there where, you don't necessarily have to use all of those resources because, you're in Texas and it's the biggest football state in the country, and all the college scouts are already going out there to look anyways. But especially with the body, I feel like if I would have made sure that I was doing the right things earlier and created the habits earlier, I would have put myself in a little bit more of a ready position coming into college. And there's a lot of people who are being very proactive with that now. You have some of these incoming freshmen that are coming in and they're game ready as soon as they step on campus. And most of the time they're coming from these big football states that it's easy to get recruited from. And so, yeah, that's probably my biggest advice.
I'd say the status quo of I feel like probably me and Himey, when we'd come to a school as an offensive lineman, it used to be, oh, that first year you're definitely going to redshirt, right? But I feel like nowadays all these kids, and understanding their bodies, understanding what they can do in their off seasons, their skill work, all these things, they're actually getting, themselves set up so that, like you said, the young guys are coming in and they can actually play. I know, at least for me, when it was my first year there, if you would have told me, all right, Jerald, you got to start, that'd been a lot to ask from me. But yeah, it's something that a lot of these young guys are. I see it as a big positive for them to be able to have their bodies all ready and for them to have the good habits built. But it's kind of crazy to see all these young guys doing things that, it took my second year for me to try to understand what I need to be doing, what I need to be eating, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, I think being able to utilize all the resources that are available, and that's where we want to be able to throw a shout out to a couple of companies that have helped us with our 5-as-1 training. First off, Ray Crowther Company. It's one of the top names in football equipment, and they have been able to help produce tip of the spear and the blast shields that we use within our training. It is really the top shield that allows coaches and players to take the most dominant techniques into the game into their own hands, using that in practice and in training sessions. And we definitely are proponents for the blast shields and tip of the spear training, about trying to make the teaching and the fundamentals as safe as possible. Offensive line usually takes a little longer to develop. The footwork, the technique. You have been coached by some of the best. Obviously, Coach Moore, who's now the head coach. How long was it until you felt comfortable within your technique? It's still probably evolving now, just as you gain strength, as you get stronger, but your footwork, your technique. In high school, I watched you play. You were just able to dominate some of the guys that you were going against. Just physically, you were that much more developed. But now once you go to a Power 5 school, you're at an elite level institution. How much does technique play into success and time and working your way up the depth chart from what you've seen, Connor?
It's really everything. Especially at the offensive line position. You know, I do feel like, you know, some of the skill positions, if you're fast and athletic and can catch a ball, you know, you're set. But as an offensive lineman, you know, obviously it's going to take time to get your body ready to be in that type of environment at a Power 5 school. But technique wise, if you don't have good technique, you can be 330 pounds and have 9% body fat and you will get rocked. And you know, my technique, you know, I still don't feel comfortable with my technique yet. I'm definitely getting there. Still working on things, and that's the nice thing with being on scout is that, you know, I go against it's the number one defense in the nation. That's a statistic from last year. I'm able to go against them year round. And so utilizing that, being able to watch that film from practice, being able to watch that film from spring ball, critique some things of my technique here, and then jump to this part of the technique and critique things there. You know, it's a never ending cycle. And something that Coach Moore has done to continue to improve that is he will take, you know, the 2 top guys in the room, or the 3 top guys in the room, and he'll go down to the O-line masterminds. Because the beautiful thing about the offensive line technique is that it just keeps on evolving and getting better and better and more different and more diverse. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do one technique, and being able to go and learn all of them so that you can then hone in and choose what your favorites are, what works for you. That's really the focus when you're in college, especially if you're trying to go pro.
I've been able to attend O-line masterminds the last couple of years with Duke Manyweather and the training that he does. And it's a unique experience to go to. I've been to coaches clinics. I've went and visited coaches, but when you have a player driven environment where they talk about the techniques, and you've got guys, you know, Lane Johnson and Creed Humphreys and, you know, Andrew Whitworth and those guys that are, you know, Hall of Famers that are talking about techniques, it's really an awesome experience. And so shout out to Duke and Lane for putting on O-line masterminds. And it's awesome to see Coach Moore, you know, allowing his players to continue to develop, you know, the top dogs. And that's kind of, I'm sure, something you want to shoot for. And for us being able to work together, like when we had some opportunities to train at Fix, Connor, like, are there some technical things, like you've got goals, you want to crack the starting lineup, you are a guy that, you know, you're prideful, you want to be in the mix. Are there a couple things you want to do this winter, this off season, or this spring ball? Hey, I'm really focused on, you know, my footwork on, you know, or my hand placement or my pad level, or do you have a couple things you want to really improve upon, or that your coaches have given you that you need to really focus on improvement wise?
So looking at everything and listening to the coaching points, my main goal is to improve my foot speed, and my lateral speed. Really, I mean, you mix that in with what I'm doing with my body and the plans that I have with our nutritionist and our strength coach this off season. And as long as I can do what I need to do and do what I'm supposed to do and improve on the things that I want to improve on, and I feel like I have a pretty good shot at accomplishing those goals this year.
That's awesome. Like foot quickness. I mean, people just think offensive line, you need to be as big and as strong as you possibly can. Yes, that's a part of it. But if you're not able to put yourself in a good position, it doesn't matter how strong you are. If you can't move laterally, if you can't cover a linebacker, if you can't pull, if you can't redirect on, you know, passing off a twist. I mean, those are the things to be able to utilize your core strength, to utilize your skill set that you have. You got to have the foot speed. Jerald, I mean, you've seen it. I mean, you're training with the guys that we have right now. I would say that's one of the probably underrated skills that are out there for the big men.
Oh yeah. I mean, and nothing against the camps where they do the 101s, but
it's a defensive drill.
Well, between that and then the offensive guys that they want to win, they'll let them just throw the guy to the ground. You know, he doesn't have to get there with his feet. he can just maul the dude, and we'll say that's a win, and we just keep going with, all right, well, that was fun. And I don't see growth in drills like that, at least for me. One-on-ones, definitely there's a learning aspect when you're doing it the right way. I think that the college level, the pro level, I think it's done the right way. It's not just having people line up against each other and, we can let that guy go from a 3-tech to he's now in a 7, and he's supposed to be going against a guard. And now he's just shooting straight to the quarterback. All the weird stuff like that you'll see more in the high school realm. But there was a point that I wanted to make that wasn't about the foot speed. It was about your coach being okay with taking his players to O-line mastermind. It's wild to hear because of the egos that coaches usually have. Nothing against Coaches Himey, but coaches usually are like, well, this is my way, or that's going to be it. If you can't do it my way, you should probably go to a different school. For him to be comfortable, not only with his tech, with what he believes and what he understands, but being able to say, I don't know everything. I just had, a Joe Moore team. I just had a national championship team. I don't know everything still. I want you guys to be able to hear it from other guys that are playing the position. You guys can figure out who has the same kind of body type as you. The fluidity of what offensive lineman is that, I tell it to all the young guys, I'm just building your toolbox so you can pull out the right tool for the moment. And it seems like your coach is on the same kind of mindset that I am too, which is cool to hear.
Right. Yeah. And it just speaks to the coach he is and why he's in the position that he is in. Really.
Are they planning on bringing in an offensive line coach to replace him? Have you heard anything like that? Or are they going to have him do the O-line and then they'll bring in like an OC?
Honestly, I really don't know how that's going to play out. We have some time. We pushed back our spring bowl season a bit later. So,
but you guys did play until, deep into January. I think you deserve a little bit of a pushback.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all that stuff plays out.
I'm sure he's got a lot on his plate right now, but he's going to have his finger on the pulse of what's going on with the offensive line. I mean, that's really cool to see. More and more offensive line coaches have the title of coordinator to be able to call plays. And then now, because of that, having opportunities to lead teams. And so that's great to see. Excited to see what the future holds in Ann Arbor. There is a ton of stuff going on. What is your schedule right now? Like, what is, the season's over, you just finished, you got a little bit of a break, not much, and now you're right back into it. What is your big emphasis? We talked about technique, but like, what's your schedule, winter conditioning wise right now, daily and then throughout the week?
So weekly, we're lifting 6 times a week. Coach Herb is doing his thing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's programmed everything to do exactly what we need to do as a young team. And as far as that goes from a weekly standpoint, yeah, it's 6 days a week. We get 1 day off. It's basically just lifting right now. And then any extracurriculars that you do on your own afterwards. My daily schedule right now, so I'll take you through probably my longest day. So right now I'm taking, I think it's like either 14 or 16 credits, which is about 5 classes. So my Wednesdays are normally my longer days. My Mondays are my long days, but it starts kind of like this. So I have class from 10 to 2:30. And then after that, I will go and grab something to eat. And then I'll go to Shem and I'll lift. And then after that, after my lift, depending on the lift, I don't like to necessarily overwork it because my focus right now is really quality of my work. but I'll go and do footwork on either pass pro, run game, or both. And some days, I'll come back here to where I'm at, and then I will, pull up my iPad and watch a little bit of film. Just doing something a little bit extra here and there.
So doing that footwork, like, are you just, hey, I'm going to go over in the corner in the indoor, I'm going to get a little bit of work, or do you have a couple guys that you guys are working through some things together, or you're just kind of mastering your craft by yourself?
So that's the interesting thing. So we have 3 different lifting times, and we're all spread out, and it's totally based on school schedule. And so a lot of the times I'll end up being on my own. And then sometimes, like Saturdays, which is when we have our big team lift, I'll go, and then I'll have a couple of guys to kind of work with. But yeah, it's in the back corner of the indoor facility where the O-line section is. It's where all of our equipment is at. And I'll just go back there and I'll rerun drills that I do currently, drills that I've done in the past that I've learned from like you guys or Matt, or stuff that I used to do even in high school. And then yeah, like film wise, I'll either go up to our meeting room and I'll do film with our GA, or I'll just do it on my iPad. Most of the time I end up just doing it on my iPad.
That's awesome, man. Because you can't just, like, you've got to be able to find ways to better yourself. And the more you understand concepts, the more you understand plays. This spring practice is going to be huge for you. You're going to have a great opportunity. It's going to be very competitive in spring ball, and you want to be in the best position possible to know your concepts, to know what you're doing. Have you had to fluctuate different positions through college? Have you bounced around? I know you played tackle. You played tackle in high school. Now all of a sudden you go to college. Buckle up. Like, the best of it, the best ability is availability. You better play a lot of spots, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I have hit all 5 spots, at least in practice.
You snapped it a little bit?
Oh, so 2 spring games ago, if something happened to our center, I was the one going in to play center.
There is nothing better than when you find out something like that and you go, okay, well, I want you to have a better game. You're talking to your center like, I want you to have the best game of your life. I don't need you coming out at all. Okay, I'm going to be playing right by you. If you need anything, just ask. You need a water, I'll go get it for you. Just do not make me have to snap this when I don't know exactly what's all going on. I know Himey, he kept making me do it just out of nowhere. He'd be like, oh, Jerald, go in there and snap it. And I'm like, gotcha. Whatever you say, let's see what we got.
As a coach, you got to be ready. Worst case scenario. Not that you were worst case scenario, Jerald. I wasn't saying that, but you got to be ready. And the more spots you can play, the more value you bring to the unit, Connor. You see that. You got to be a guy that can, hey, I can bounce. I can play right. I can play left. I can go snap. I mean, you were a long snapper in high school, right? I mean, you were the snapper at Palmer Ridge before Walker showed up. And I think
thank you to Walker for taking that one over.
You were happy that he transferred in and showed up, because you guys were rolling people. It was mercy rule, and all of a sudden, if you go in, you got what you were saying, like you guys would beat people, and then all of a sudden you had to still go in and have to snap when you've been cold on the sideline, having sunflower seeds. And you're like, great, I got to go truck out there and snap it. So happy to hand that one over, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely thankful that I, took the time to learn how to long snap, because I'm sure down the line, eventually it'll be useful. But yeah, definitely glad that Walker can take that one over. There's nothing like, coming out of halftime, knowing you're done for the day, sitting on the sideline, you got your sweatshirt on.
We got a punt. You're like,
and then you hear your OC say punt, and you're like, oh. And not only that, I mean, we always had decent punters that would boot it between 50 and 60 yards down the field. And so it's not like I go out there, I snap it, and I'm good. No, I'm snapping it. I'm having to run down. I'm the spearhead of our containment circle that we were doing with our punt team. And And my job was to make sure he didn't get too far down the field. And so, no, I was still having to go and cover, and still grateful for that experience, but definitely glad that, Walker and his tight end body could take that one over.
There it is, man. Hey, but like having that skill set to be a backup short snapper, being a big body type of guy. I know your focus is playing offensive line, but like it helped me get into some NFL camps being a guy that could play center and snap, and the versatility is key. You're playing all across the board. Where are you right now? Like, are you kind of settled in at guard? That's kind of your future, or you're like, whatever, coach, I'm in wherever you need me.
You don't settle in until you're in that first O-line. I mean, we had a tackle. His name was Jeff Percy. He was the backup right tackle my freshman year. Had started an entire game, or he was the left tackle, not the right tackle. Yeah, he was the left tackle. He had started an entire game at left tackle my freshman year. And then this year came in and learned that he was going to be playing right guard. And so, unless you're on that starting O-line, and really even our starting O-line, we had guys like Carson Barnhart who played right tackle, left tackle, and right guard and started at all three. I mean, just being able to know all of them, it's easier to plug and play as a coach and being able to move everything around when guys go down.
And that's big time. And the sooner you realize that, the better it's going to be for you in your career. I think that's great advice, man.
Oh, yeah, because, what coach wants to hear you come out and say, oh, I'm a left guard? That's all you do? Yeah, that's all I do. It's like, well, this guy might be, 5% worse than you, but he says he can play from left all the way to the right. He can do any kind of position. That's the guy that you'd rather have out there. Yeah, no. The best ability is availability. You're completely right, Himey.
That's it, man. So, training-wise, you took us through your schedule, kind of the daily schedule and routine. We talked about some of the things that you want to work on, improve on. Like, how much of the nutritional aspect is a focus for you? I'm assuming at Michigan that they've got everything charted for you. You're meeting with dietitians and nutritionists. How much is that a part of your training now, your focus, and how much was that a part of your development in high school? And where was that kind of in your importance and advice that you might give to younger athletes out there?
So I'm a little different. I'm a little special in the case of I've always been very interested in the human body. It's even in my degree path, I'm getting into applied exercise science, which is a kinesiology program, which, basically it's a very broad degree, but most of the time it's for any sort of physical education or physical training, which is kind of what I want to get into after football. But yeah, I've always done my own research, even in high school. I wasn't as strict with my diet as I am currently right now. But that's because I was trying to put on weight. And, right now in college, we have a nutritionist, and, Abigail, she's smart as hell and she does so much for us. We have 2 different body scanners that we go to. So before like every cycle that we do, we go and do what's called an IDEXA scan, which it's a table that you lay on that does a scan of your entire body, head to toe, and will tell you how much fat mass you have, how much lean muscle mass you have. And then we will take that, information, mixed with the goals that you have, and create a plan. She just got a new machine that currently sits at SHEM. That's the in-body. That kind of does the same thing. It's just not as accurate. But it helps keep track. No different than if you're to step on a scale and maybe the scale wasn't calibrated, and so you're actually 250, but it's reading 275. Well, if your goal is still to gain weight, you can still kind of calculate that out. If you're 275 on that scale and then you get to 290, well, you gained weight, you're good.
Yep.
Kind of same detail as that. And And then, so like right now, you know, I'm on a pretty strict diet because I'm trying to lose about 20 pounds of fat mass. And then this summer I'll turn right back around and put 20 pounds of lean muscle mass on. But I'm doing it really as my own personal goal because last year, you know, going into the season, I was sitting between 225 or 325. Sorry, not 225. It's a little light. 325.
I was going to say, look at you.
And then in the season, I got up to like 335, and my body didn't feel the best, and so I knew I had put on probably the wrong weight, or a little bit too much of the wrong weight. And so
that's some cold winters in Ann Arbor, man. You got to put on a couple extra layers, right?
Isn't that crazy how quick, like, I mean, just 5 pound difference, you feeling that on your own body, like, oh man, I feel like I can't do half the things I could have done and mine was always like 310 to 305, you know, like 2 different players.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely noticeable when you get above that 300 pound mark, for sure. When you're in that 200s, it's not as noticeable, but you start to get in those hefty numbers and it's like, oh gosh, yeah, I don't feel fast at all right now.
He said, I got to get this, the wagon. I got to unhitch the wagon, right?
But
so you're trying to drop weight right now, like this winter. That's got to be hard. Like this is kind of the bulking season, trying to put weight on. You're trying to get stronger, but so you're really having to focus on your diet and what you're eating. It's probably a little harder to say right now is the time you're trying to drop. That's probably difficult on you.
Yes and no. Yeah, it's still bulking season. But at the same time, my schedule is nowhere near as hectic, but it's also structured. So like in the summer where we just have lifting responsibilities, that's where a lot of guys will kind of lose their mind because they don't have as much structure in there. But because I do, you know, we have private chefs at Shem. So I go there and I can eat 3 meals a day, every day, 7 days a week, or 6 days a week. They're closed on Sundays. But, you know, with having the school schedule, I'll eat breakfast here. I'll go to class. I will go through class. I'll have my snack at some point. Normally I'll have a lunch break. I'll go and snag, you know, a Chipotle bowl of stuff that I'm allowed to have, and then go back to class, go grab a snack before my workout, do an in-body scan, workout, and then it's just, I don't know, as far as I go, I always work a lot better on a schedule. So having that structure, I feel like it's going to be not as hard getting down with the weight.
Yeah, that's the student athlete motto. That's why a lot of companies like to hire student athletes, just because we're all so used to our lives being scheduled out. And it was just funny you saying, like, it got to the summertime and people would be going crazy because the schedule isn't as, you know, maintained. And that is exactly what I remember. Probably the exact same thing for you, Himey. But yeah, we're all just so used to that schedule. And even all the young guys that are, you know, coming up, I feel like these kids are building these habits that now we all have, and it's going to do great for you going into, you know, the next years that you have, into your hopeful NFL seasons that you'll be able to play in, being able to have this schedule. But if I were to be able to have had this when I was younger, classes probably would have been easier, things like that. So as a young kid, take the advantage of building your habits and having good ones to be able to set you along the line.
No, it's great to have the structure, and you know, we're looking forward to watching the progress that you make throughout the spring. Excited to see where things are going, man. You got big time goals, great opportunity ahead of yourself. Any advice that you would give for the kids that we're training here in Colorado, that you would love to, you would have loved to have known, or something that's different than what you thought maybe the college experience was like? I mean, it sounds like you have a full-time job. When you're a student athlete, when you play at Michigan, when you play at Nebraska or USC, like you have a job. You need to go to school. You need to handle your business. You're smart about your academics, but any advice, something that's totally different that you wish you would have been able to tell yourself back then?
I mean, really, it's kind of 2 full-time jobs being at Michigan, and just being aware of the busyness and the craziness. And, I probably would have done a little bit better job creating the habits of like doing the little things, like putting everything into my calendar, which is what I do now. And, making sure that, scheduling out, not necessarily in your head, but also doing that on a place where it can keep you accountable and sending notifications, like self-lament I'm using right now. And then, just know what you want to do as well. If you're gonna do it, don't waste your time. And don't waste your time and go and get in this, hard degree path. And, now you're wasting away, 14 to 16 credit hours a semester, when you could do what you want to do maybe less credits or even more credits. And now you're doing something that you're passionate about and that you love. And so it doesn't feel like a job.
Got you. Yeah. And he's, since we're talking about, you're talking to the young kids, this is one of our sponsors, Ground Up Performance, down in Colorado Springs. For all the young guys that are down there that want a chance to develop yourself and become a better player, go to Ground Up. Great people, great guys to work with. Connor, you said that you worked with these guys when you were younger. So if you have a chance to go see their facilities and better yourself just all around. Getting back to what you were talking about.
Hold on, Connor. Give us the lowdown. Like, you work with Jordan and Mike. Like, those guys, give us a little shout out for the crew down at Ground Up.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So I have been working with Mike since he was at Redline, and that was like 4th grade is when I started working with him. And then Jordan and him came along when I was in middle school. And they created their business Ground Up. Basically what they do is they make better athletes out of athletes. They teach you the correct ways, correct running form. They work with you, if for example, let's say you're a receiver or you're a track runner and you're running and you misstep accidentally, they will help work and drill some of those missteps that are most common, so you don't put yourself in a place of injury. And you're able to recover from that in a way of the most safety and get back into that athletic position as well. But they've helped me with a lot of things. I know I'm going to probably train with them for a good bit when I'm back in May. Because whenever I need to work foot speed, I go and I train with Mike and Jordan. They give me up on some ladder drills and some foot speed drills, and helps me out a lot. So it really helps in all aspects of sports. They work with absolutely everyone and every type of athlete, and yeah, they do pretty damn good work down there.
Well, there's a reason why that place is packed with young athletes that are looking to better themselves. When we go in there and we train, I think our groups, we've got 12 to 15 guys that are training, and we're looking over and there's like 20 little munchkins ready to rock and roll, working speed ladder, working agility, change of direction. It's awesome to see the training and development that's going on with those guys, with Mike and Jordan. So we're excited to have partnered with them and excited to give Colorado Springs athletes a chance to come train with 5 as 1. So Jerald, what else you got? We got to let Connor, he's probably got some calories that he's got to put in. He's probably got another meal, a snack, something that he's got to get to. Anything else you want to hit to lock this up?
Not too much. It was great being able to have you on. I remember the first time I was able to meet you. You're a stand-up guy, somebody that seemed like they had their head all set for what they wanted to do, which is one of the things that I love seeing in young guys, definitely young offensive linemen, people that you can see that they're pushing forward, not pulling back. So you just keep doing your thing. We're going to keep watching you. We'll keep talking about you, even if you can't hear us. of all the good things that you're doing. And hopefully Michigan, you guys can have a great year when you play Nebraska. Remember that you're friends with me. You don't have to do anything too crazy to my team. But other than that, I'm just happy that you're on. This is a whole lot of fun.
Man, it is great to have you on the show, Connor. Give us anything else that is out there that kind of people that have helped you along the way. Any thank yous? Anybody else? I know you've got a great supporting family, and anybody else that just you want to shout out to, just thank, that has helped you along your journey.
I mean, really just it's important to build a support group, and I'm very appreciative of the support groups that I do have. I'm blessed enough to have a pretty large support group, especially back in Colorado. Every time I come back, you guys invite me to come and work out and come work out some things. And I'm always getting hit up by Mike and Jordan to come down and, work some footwork stuff. And, Matt's always hitting me up too to get down there. And so, having that support group that is outside of your family, but also within your family, it helps out. And with that being said, thank you guys so much. It was a blast.
Big time, man. That's awesome. You may have a future in maybe in broadcast, something like that, man. That was awesome.
Right? Made this easy for us.
No, it was great. It's awesome to have you guys on. Jerald, welcome back to the show. It's good to see your smiling face back on here, man. And Connor, we are excited to watch you. Best of luck in spring ball. Get after it. Set the tone early. Make the most of every practice, every rep, and have a blast, man. College football will be gone in the blink of an eye. It's probably hard to believe you're this far along within your journey, but we wish you the best. Excited to see where you're going. And with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, follow, send us some comments, and spread the good news about 5 is 1. Until next time.
See you guys.